Hi, everyone. This is David from No Kill Colorado. You're watching No Kill in Motion. I'm here today with Alan Rosenberg from the New Jersey Animal Observer, Shirley Marsh from Yes Biscuit, and Aubrey Kavanaugh from No Kill Huntsville. I wanted to talk today about something we actually talked about before, but the public. Is the public really the enemy? I mean, I think most people here on the panel don't think so, but we see this over and over on social media, especially of if the public just did this, or it's people are bad. I hate people. All that, all that kind of negativity around. This is what's wrong with why we have homeless pets. But in the end, we know that shelter killing is the number one cause of death for homeless pets or healthy and treatable homeless pets in America. And so, yeah, I just wanted everyone to kind of talk about that a bit. I mean, I just looked at the Colorado statistics from 2021, and we had one of our best years ever, and you can't do that without the general public, right? They're the only ones that actually make those statistics work, because they adopt or they foster. And I talk about this all the time, but I just keep seeing it over and over. I see from long-time rescuers, short-time rescuers, the general public talking about themselves sometimes, right? And it drives me insane. Shirley, you've talked about the irresponsible public for a long time in your writing. Where do you see this?
Well, as you alluded to just a moment ago, shelters often make the public both demon and savior. We do this without you. You have to foster, you have to adopt, you have to donate. But on the other hand, it's your fault. We're killing animals. You don't spay neuter. You don't take responsibility for your pets. So it's if you want to just look at it as a messaging tactic, it's bad. Also, the public is going to be a wide array of types of people. You are going to have some people who, sure, they might be irresponsible, just as you have irresponsible library patrons or anything else. But there are going to be people who just cannot keep their pets for various reasons. I mean, there are people who cannot keep their human children. And what happens in that case? A government agency takes them. But they don't kill them. And they say they don't blame the irresponsible public. Things happen. Life situations change. That's what shelters are supposed to be there for. They're supposed to be a safety net to help people, and less judgment and more helping, I think, would go a long way towards getting shelter animals into homes.
I often think of the analogy, and I don't think it works, and you touched on it. What do we do with homeless people's shelters, right? It's never a question. We never consider their condition as part of whether that they get to stay around or not. Aubrey, where do you fall on this, the public enemy? What are the things that you actually see out there?
I'm completely in line with Shirley, and I'm glad you brought that up, Shirley, because we can't on one hand talk about, oh, you're so terrible, oh, but help us do great things. People get turned off, right? And I think that what we found over a period of years, and particularly during the pandemic, is, yeah, some people suck. Some people are irresponsible, but most people want to do the right thing. So the better messaging is, how can we help you? How can we help you keep your pet in your home? How can we help you do a better job? Because we don't want your animal in our building. So a non-judgment, like Shirley said, and help them. I was thinking about this morning, I think a lot of people in sheltering and rescue, they presume that the public knows exactly what's going on and they just don't care. And I was thinking back to my own experiences. I mean, I grew up with animals. I mean, our animals came from humane societies and shelters, and sometimes they came from other family members. And I knew that shelters existed, but I was completely ignorant to the fact that healthy and treatable animals were being destroyed in shelters. I thought that the animals that died in shelters maybe were suffering, or that other than that, most of them found a new home. And of course, I had this, unwelcome epiphany years ago when I learned that didn't happen. So I think that we have to, I think our baseline is we have to presume the public doesn't know, number one, what happens in most shelters where they kill healthy and treatable animals, and number two, how their behavior affects that. People live it within the bubble of their own existence and what personally affects them. So it doesn't do a whole lot of good to have your hair on fire screaming about how terrible the public is when the public is ignorant of how their behavior affects this issue. In terms of irresponsibility, while Shirley was talking, I thought of something that happened at work, and I'll keep it quick. There's a lawyer I work with, and he and his family had a geriatric dog, and they were doing something at home. I think they were moving groceries inside, and somebody left a door open and the dog wandered outside. And the mindset was, well, she's old, she's not going to go very far. So they put their stuff away. They went looking for her and they couldn't find her. And then as time passed on, more and more time passed, they still couldn't find her, and they started to get stressed out. So they were knocking on doors. They were doing the whole thing of driving around, calling her name, and they searched and searched and couldn't find her. And this was I believe it was on a Saturday. The shelter was closed. There was no one really to call to get help. So when the shelter opened on Monday, they called, described their dog. No, she's not here. We're encouraged to come down. They weren't able to get down to the shelter until the following day because the shelter's not open when people can get down there. Went down, looked for their dog, could not find their dog. And then it was a couple days after that someone said, hey, I was at the shelter and I saw your dog down there. So they went down again, and their dog had been there the whole time, only to find out that because of the age of the dog, they really did save her from being destroyed that day. So we can talk about this lawyer and his family being irresponsible, but they did all the right things, right? And still that dog was this far away from having her life ended. And I just always think of that we need to presume the best of people. And it's not that people are heartless and they don't care. They're doing their best, but the shelter has to be part of helping people.
My dogs have gotten out. There's no doubt about it. They've gone out of my backyard in the past. I do panic. I do look, but the fact is, you can call me irresponsible, but my dogs are smart, and every once in a while they've gotten out. I've changed my fence 5 times, and they haven't gotten out in like a year.
And they're telling you about it, David.
Yeah, thank you. They're like, say, unlock the fence. Alan, let's bring this home. The irresponsible public.
Well, let's be real about this. It's not this is nothing more than scapegoating, and this is something the industry has done for the course of decades, and have convinced the public that the rest of the public are irresponsible, and that's why they're killing. So this idea of irresponsible public, every time I hear it, the hair goes up on the back of my neck, because I think, oh no, here they go. This is what these terrible regressive shelters want. They want a distraction. They want an excuse for why they're killing when they shouldn't be killing. And it's so easy for people to just scapegoat someone or scapegoat this. Really, it's not a person. It's just in general, like this unknown number of irresponsible people. Who are these people? We don't know. But it makes people feel good. And to everyone's point, rescues love this also, because I call it rescue syndrome, where rescues need to be the hero. And when you have a hero, when you want to be a hero, you need a villain. So who's the villain? Oh, that person. Usually it's a poor person, or maybe it's someone that doesn't look like them, because that makes their story better and makes them feel better and probably raises more money. And it's very destructive, because the public then says, well, what's the point of saving an animal from a shelter? Or what's the point of reforming the shelter? We got all these horrible people out there abusing animals, and there's nothing what we can do. Let's just throw our hands up. And then the other reason why they would do that is because, well, if the world has everyone in the world has to become the perfect pet owner before we stop killing in shelters. We'll never stop killing in shelters. There's 330 million people in the country. There's always a few bad apples. So it's a very dangerous mindset, and it's easy for people to get into it. But when you think through the ramifications, it's really destructive to animals. And as advocates, we have to always push back against this because it's not the reason for killing. The reason for killing is what's going on with the management of shelters.
You know, you actually brought something up that may be a whole nother conversation on here, but you had one sentence there that, you know, sparked my my interest in EDI in shelters, right? It's also the general public that are targeted sometimes, right? It's like, oh, you know, those people shouldn't have a dog or a pet or something like that, which, you know, we see in shelters. I recognize it more now than I used to, just because I paid attention more often. But that's another subject. We have to end today. Thank you for that. Again, we're here with Aubrey Kavanaugh from No Kill Huntsville, Shirley Marsh from Yes Biscuit, Alan Rosenberg from New Jersey Animals Observer. I'm David Smith from No Kill Colorado. Thank you for joining No Kill in Motion. We'll see you next time.